So, hey, tall men and women, it is a challenge as a tall person to build muscle. And honestly, a lot of it comes from the fact that we're longer, our bones are longer, our bodies are longer, and so we don't have quite as much stability naturally that someone who's of average height would have just naturally going about life. And so what we tend to do is, it's kind of a mistake, is we assume that we're already as stable as everybody else and we should just do the same things they do. And that can oftentimes be a mistake. One of the reasons for that is because if you don't have the stability, you really can't build strength on top of an unstable joint. All right, so with the hips, we have long femurs, right? And so what that can also do is throw off our center of gravity when we're squatting. I see a lot of very tall men and women at gyms doing back squats and having a lot of trouble because of that long femur angle, that they end up squatting really far forward, or maybe they put their heels up on plates to try to kind of pinch out and get a higher position, and they're just not getting that much stronger, and they're probably not doing themselves any favors. Now, I'm 6'4", I'm not the tallest guy, but I'm tall enough to know that you really have to understand how to work your body correctly. So I'm gonna give you some tips here for the shoulders and the hips specifically. But it has to start with your core. If your core is not strong, it doesn't matter what exercises you do, you're not gonna build true strength, power from a foundation that is weak. So you, as a tall person, have to work harder at the core because your core is longer, your body is longer. If I took a bar that was 6 feet long and tried to bend it with my feet and my hand, it would be pretty easy to bend because there's a lot of place to bend from. But if I took a shorter bar and did the same thing, it would be almost impossible, right? The longer we are, the more length in our body, the harder it is to be stable and strong because we have so many points where we can be unstable or weak. So you need to focus on strength in the core, planking, side planking, rotational strength, hip and glute strength, that kind of stuff. When it comes to foundational movements like squats, deadlifts, and things like that, we want to really make sure that we're getting as deep as we possibly can so we're activating as much of the muscle as we can. A couple of ways to do that. First of all, you got to warm up, right? You got to make sure the hips are open. So for us specifically, I would highly recommend the runner's lunge. You see a lot of people doing that, but we, with long arms and legs, we need to be able to get down into this runner's lunge, open up, get that hip flexor to open up, get those hips open, get down in this deep position so that when we get to our squats, lunges, deadlifts, that we have the ability to get that low. All right, so make sure when you're warming up that you're getting deep into your hips so you have that mobility when you get into your squats. Now I'm going to show you Xerxer squats. So Xerxer squat is just the guy named Xerxer, he created them, but it's just a different way to hold the bar to really give yourself the space and to get deep into that squat without hurting your back or putting too much pressure behind you. So right here, I have a bar. I have a neck pad that you would normally use for squatting or hips. And I'm gonna put it right here. And now I'm gonna take my hands underneath and basically grip the bar between the bicep and the forearm. Once I'm here, I'm gonna lift up, take a nice wide foot position. Now, as I squeeze here, my back is straight. I'm gonna drop straight down and let the knees flare out a little bit so my elbows pass between my inner thighs. Look how deep I can get now. Drive it all the way up, back down, super deep. I feel my glutes, hamstrings, and quads here, and I'm only using 95 pounds. Down, squat, all the way up. Deep range of motion. Give that a shot as something you can do to really start to get deeper into those hips, get your glutes to work, hamstrings, quads all together. It will help you also because holding up top, you're developing a lot of stability from your core and your low back because you have to hold that weight from pulling you forward. So it's a great one to stabilize and build foundational strength. Okay, next up, rows. Now, tall people, on average, what are they doing most of the day? They're looking down, not because they have a phone, because everyone is shorter than them. So their eyes are down, their bodies tend to be down. I see more men and women who are tall, especially very tall women, whose bodies are shaped downwards because they're always looking down. right? So that also affects our posture and our shoulder strength, upper back strength. So what I want to do, without putting more pressure into my low back, I'm going to do some back rows. So I'm going to put these dumbbells here. I'm going to use an incline at 30 degrees, and I'm going to put my chest against that incline right at the top. Now, you grab the dumbbells like this, let them stretch down. I'm going to row up, squeeze, even do a little bit of an arch of my upper back, squeezing those muscles and getting great activation in those upper back muscles. Bam. So I want to get my shoulder blades to squeeze together, pinch, scapula, all the muscles in the back, the traps, rhomboids, lats, all working together. Boom. Now, I can change my grip, neutral grip, get my elbows higher, boom, or I can turn into more of a barbell row, get great range of motion, and activate all those back muscles. What I see too much of is when tall guys try to row standing, whether or not they're just rounded or they're too upright, they're not getting full contraction, and because they're so tall, their low back is doing a lot of the work. This takes all the low back pressure out and allows you to really focus on developing those upper back muscles. Because as a tall person, if you're constantly rounded forward, then your posture is affected, and that's going to translate to bad form and weak points in your posture when you're working out. So think about that for a great one to stabilize and strengthen your shoulders. Think about the Xerxes squats for your low back, hips, glutes, and developing deeper squat form. And then I highly recommend the Bulgarian split squat for everybody, but specifically for tall people. Foot forward, leg back on the weight. Now you can move your feet farther forward here, right? Drop that back knee down underneath, get really deep, and then drive all the way up. You don't need a lot of weight, but you want that full range of motion all the way down, bam, all the way up. Again, I'm developing not just strength, but stability in that leg. So this leg, this glute, this hamstring, everything's working to stabilize as I go all the way down, really deep range of motion, and then I drive up through that. So I'm getting stronger, getting more stable, and that's going to translate to everything else in terms of building muscle and getting you where you want to be as a tall person. So get those ideas, give them a shot, check it out, see what you think.